One in five suffer.
Erase the stigma.
Brain difference is not a crime.
Mental health isn't just your problem.
It's our problem.
And now, Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave.
Welcome to Mental Health Monday with Marla and Dave.
That's right.
I would like to introduce you to Dave, who's far away in a satellite place. Hi, Dave.
Yes, that's right. Hey, Marla, how are you doing this week?
What are we, newscasters? Anyway, we are super happy today. And Dave, you just got back to town after a whirlwind Take 6 run. But I have to, before we say anything else, I really want to remind everybody how important it is. We ask every week for you to support us with the $1 Today campaign. Please text the word GIVE to 818-698-1021. Pledge your $1 today. Hey, do a week. And this helps us to continue a month or a year. This helps us to continue to bring you this great content. You know, we always say mental health is not your problem, it's our problem, and we need to erase the stigma.
Absolutely. Well, Marla, our guest today is the Los Angeles County Deputy Director of Countywide Engagement, and like most of us who champion the cause of mental health and mental health awareness, she has a personal connection to the issue. When we come back, it's our honor and our absolute pleasure to speak with LaTina Jackson.
Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave and NAMI San Fernando Valley believe it doesn't take much to make life a little better for our neighbors, coworkers, friends, our family members, even our children who suffer with mental illness. When you support our $1 Today Keeps the Stigma Away campaign, you are doing your part to erase the stigma surrounding mental illness. For just $1 today, or $1 a day for 1 week, just $7, we can look forward to a future that does not include the unfortunate and uncomfortable stares, bullying, and the subsequent isolation that our loved ones who suffer with brain differences deal with. Text the word GIVE, that's GIVE, to 818-698-1021 to donate. $1 today keeps the stigma away. Brought to you by Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave and NAMI San Fernando Valley. Mental.
Hey guys, listen up. Learn something.
As we said, everybody would stay put. We would introduce you to LaTina Jackson. LaTina, welcome to Mental Health Mondays.
Thank you so much, Dave. I'm so happy to be here tonight.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you that this is, I'm sorry, Dave, and I'm sorry, but not sorry that you're in a hole, because this is awesome for me. So I want to jump right in, and I want to lead in this today by saying that it's very refreshing to me as well that you fall in league with a lot of us that are doing mental health work in whatever capacity, because your passion for it has been ignited or led by an experience. In a lot of cases, for David and I, it is the experience with our family. For you, same, but also maybe a personal experience. So I'm going to just ask you to give us a brief background about how mental health has been impactful for you, and then we'll talk a little bit about, we'll move into your role at with the Department of Mental Health.
Sure. So I was born and bred in Los Angeles. And
wow, that's rare.
I know, pretty rare, very rare.
Very rare.
So my father was in the military. He was in the Korean War, decorated veteran. And my mother was a nurse. And just the love of the community, embraced children in the community, did all things for all people, and would have these sort of fits and starts of not being able to leave the couch, not being able to move. And this is all, by hearing stories from family, because there's a pretty big age gap between my sisters and myself.
Now, are you the baby?
I am the baby.
Okay.
The eldest is 13 years older than me, and then the next one 10. And so, I want to not make the story too long, but she would also have these periods where she did phenomenal things. She would decide she wanted to paint the house hot pink. She wanted to go learn how to do some truck driving. The stories, just like folklore. So fast forward, I'm born. When I'm 14 months old, my mother is in the throes of depression, and one morning wakes up as the family's eating pancakes and walks in the bedroom and takes her life with my father's pistol.
Wow.
My father went from the military into law enforcement, and as a consequence of his tour of duty in the Korean War, had his own bouts with post-traumatic stress disorder. My sister, because these are heritable illnesses, no one knew what it was.
Correct.
Right? They're, highly heritable. So my eldest sister, right around that time, was starting to show some symptoms of her own, getting into a lot of trouble, and, sort of the same, sort of highs and lows. And she, throughout my life, spent a lot of time in and out, as I was younger, in and out of Camarillo State Hospital for what was then manic depressive disorder, right? And I never really understood it. My father being in law enforcement, I don't think anybody understood it. Like my mother's death, the reasons for my mother's death were like a big secret to me when I was growing up. No one talked about it. It was like it's all hush hush. And my father would tell me, your sister smokes that pot, that wacky weed, and she does drugs. And if you do that, you're going to end up
like
just
her.
like her. So you better walk the straight and narrow and not do that. So I never drank, never touched drugs because I was terrified that I was going to walk down that path. And as I was, I had my own bouts of depression as I was younger, but mostly people thought it was attributable to the fact that I lost my
your mom,
right?
But you were 14 months old.
I was 14 months old.
Right.
And I too would have these periods, not that were really something that you would call mania,
right.
but like I couldn't sleep.
Right.
I get very creative. I decide I want to do some drawing, some clay work, like just these.
Right.
I have these epiphanies. And it wasn't until, these things kind of happened, ebbed and flowed. I saw a psychiatrist when I was in my early 20s for depression, and I would see a psychiatrist when I was depressed.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to take medication. I was willing to talk about what was going on, and
right.
But I never wanted to take medication. The first time I took medication, I had a manic episode because they treated me for depression. And so I instantly went into mania, and I thought, man, antidepressant, everybody should take an antidepressant. Like that. This is the bee's knees, right? But it, quickly I, fell from that height. And my doctor had the wherewithal to say, I've been trying to tell you this. I really think lithium is the way to go. I really think you have a family history that indicates that you have bipolar disorder. These are, inherited illnesses. I think that's what's going on. And I was very, very stubborn. I'm not doing it. I had many other episodes.
How long did that period last where you didn't want to do it?
Oh my goodness, Dave. I don't know. It took a while. I want to say maybe 7 years, 6 years, something like that, of like these in and outs of seeing the psychiatrist. But I think I was blessed in that I saw a private psychiatrist who was very patient with me,
right,
and walked the line with me and kept going back to, I will do this with you, but I really think, we're dealing with something else here.
So you had to trust that relationship to even get to that point, and it also took time.
Took a long time. I had a very, very bad incident when I was in grad school. I went to grad school to get my master's in clinical social work. And during that period, a lot of turmoil just going on at home and in life and grad school, a lot of stress, which triggers these episodes. And I had the worst episode that I'd ever experienced. I'd had periods of psychosis before, and I'd been hospitalized before, and I still didn't believe it. I just thought that was just
That was a one-off. That was just
one-off.
something that was
Fluke.
extreme, right?
I'm good.
Yeah,
And
too much stress.
Too much stress. And in this incident, I traumatized my stepdaughter, who happened to be there when I intentionally hurt myself, not being aware of the fact that I was doing it. Right. And my youngest was sound asleep at the time. But I almost lost my life that night and was completely out of my mind.
Right, yeah.
Didn't know what I was doing. And it impacted me, no question. But it impacted my whole family. And it was, we were talking before the show, and you were talking about your children and how they mean the world to you and how you do anything for them. It was my daughter who propelled me into treatment, because I looked at her and thought, I'm not going to take her down the road that I went. I'm not going to have her be without her mother. I'm not going to traumatize her in this way. And that was, I don't even know, 2001, 2000, I don't even remember. But she was 2 years old at the time, so maybe, and she's 24 now, so she'd be giggling now. So 22 years ago, and I called my doctor and I said, I think you might be onto something here. Right. So let's try it.
So that experience.
She was your reason why.
And
she was my reason why.
And we're glad that you had a reason why. We're glad that you're here.
Yes.
So I have to say that, because I really mean it. Because so many experiences that happen, but I just want to yell. I wish you had a bullhorn, and I want the people in the back to hear what she said about. We assign. You started with the assignment. Your father assigned this behavior to the cause. You avoided the behavior and still ended up understanding that this is something that you were affected by.
Yes.
That's huge, because everybody, it's here's what I'm screaming now. We have got to stop looking at mental health as an indictment. I say it all the time. I'm not avoiding anything. And if it's me, I'm in therapy. Let somebody tell me that I have anything that can be fixed. Help me fix it.
Right.
But it's in my family. It's in his family. It's in your family. It's everyone we touch. So I just appreciate you being transparent enough and willing to share this. And then we're gonna go ahead, Dave.
Well,
I hear you breathing.
Say, that is the reason why we work and we fight against the stigma. Because just like any other organ in the body, our minds can actually need some help, and need some help from a professional. And so we're going to hold it right there. We're going to come right back after this break with our amazing discussion with LaTina Jackson.
It's time for the Mental Health Minute with Marla and Dave.
Many children, and especially adolescents, experience mood swings as a normal part of growing up. But when these feelings persist and interfere with the child's ability to function in daily life, bipolar disorder could be the cause.
Symptoms can begin in early childhood, but usually emerge in adolescent or adulthood. Until recently, young people were rarely diagnosed with this disorder. Yet, up to 1/3 of 3.4 million children and teens with depression in the United States may be experiencing the early onset of bipolar disorder, according to the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry.
Many teens with bipolar disorder abuse alcohol and drugs to escape and should be evaluated for a mental health disorder. If an addiction develops, it is essential to treat both the mental health disorder and the substance abuse problem at the same time.
Bipolar disorder is treatable. Early identification, diagnosis, and treatment will help children reach their full potential. Children who exhibit signs of bipolar disorder should be evaluated by a mental health professional who specializes in treating children.
This message is brought to you by Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave.
David is a thinker.
I never do anything without thinking about it first.
Marla is a feeler.
I basically live my personality on my sleeve.
But when Marla and Dave get together, it's like a match dancing with a firecracker.
I have to smile. Hi, Skylar. Your daughter is in the chat room, and she says, I am giggling. Laugh out loud. Hilarious. I love it. I love it. Thanks for joining us for sure. And I want you to know that your mom is not only is she amazing, but she's brave, and I'm sure that you are blessed. You are blessed. You and your sisters?
Yes.
Is it all sisters?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are blessed to have your mom. Yeah. So let's go ahead, Dave. Because every time you breathe, I stop.
I appreciate the fact that you're attuned to that. I was just going to add that we're so proud of you for your transparency, because at least for me, for Marla is much more transparent than I am. That's something that I had to learn, and I'm still learning how to do in all situations, because this is such an important issue, and we're glad that you bring that vulnerability to what you do with the county. So I just wanted to ask exactly, what does someone in your position do for the Los Angeles County when it comes to a community engagement? What does that actually mean?
So, first, I have to say it's a learning experience for me as well, Dave. So I've been with the county, with the Department of Mental Health now it'll be 25 years in March.
What?
25 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I started when I was 5. And I didn't come out about the fact that I had a mental illness until, I want to say, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I've never been this candid about the symptoms, or even dared to talk about having any psychotic symptoms or any symptoms where I did any kind of self-harm until tonight.
Wow.
And I remember in grad school, one of the things that when I was doing my research, one of the things that I learned was the number one place where people feel discriminated against or would feel stigma is with their mental health provider. So, I have been very reluctant to come out in this way, but the more that I see what I see happening around me, the more I realize, I have to. I can't be a hypocrite. And I think, one of the things that, there's this big movement that I'm sure maybe the two of you are aware of, this big peer movement to get people with lived experience involved in the treatment and bringing people into treatment. And one of the things that really burns me is the peer position is always like the lowest paid position in any. So it's like it's the urban, right? It's the urban position in many county mental health facilities or contracted facilities. And
it's the greatest impact.
Right, greatest impact.
And let me just jump.
It's the interface.
But let me
the dynamic interface.
Let me jump in and say this: our son also came through drug addiction, and interestingly enough, when you're dealing with an addiction, it's always someone else who has mastered that or is a recovered addict that has the most impact. Because how do I understand?
Right.
So, but it's so different. Right. So I'm totally echoing that. So continue, please.
But think about why it's so important for somebody like me to come out at my level. Right. As a deputy director, it is essential that I be honest about my struggles, honest about my recovery, right? In the same way that it was so important for us to see a black president. Right. To know that is my possibility. Right. Like to be able to see ourselves. Right. Yeah, it could happen for me.
It's a new potential.
Right. Yeah. So it's important that we be honest and transparent across the board. Right. And that if we value that personal experience and what that personal experience brings to the table in terms of helping someone else in their own recovery journey, that we value it from the bottom to the top, and that we're honest about it from the bottom to the top. So I've
got questions. I have to jump in, and I
have answers.
You probably won't, but I'm gonna ask them anyway. David and I have been to our knees, and with our son. DJ, who's bipolar 1, schizoaffective disorder, is very public. He's been the one that has, in our family, that has desired, trust, and needed the treatment and was willing. He has fallen through the cracks. What what is changing? Help me understand why this chasm exists, if you can. And I'm not putting the whole thing on you, but you're in the system, so I got to ask the question.
Yeah, I think it's a fair question. So Dave asked the question, what do I do? My division, the countywide engagement division, we're really in charge with engaging people that are disengaged from treatment. So the populations that I work with are people that are experiencing homelessness as a consequence of their illness, people that are incarcerated as a consequence of their illness, are veterans, people that are in and out of the hospitals. That's kind of my bailiwick book of business. In terms of, I can speak for myself. I think I think in LA County we have a good system, a good public mental health system. If I'm looking across the country in comparison, but is it perfect? No, far, far, far from it.
Now, would you say a good system, or is that a comparatively good system? Does that make any sense? The distinction?
Can you repeat that one?
Yeah. We had a little interruption there.
I was saying, would you say a good system in general? Or are you saying that comparatively?
I'm saying
it's a good system.
Comparatively, it's a good system, and I think that there are really excellent components to our department. I think our division is a great example of, creating a division that's dedicated to bringing people back into the fold of treatment. But what I think we fail to do is to catch people before they fall that low.
That's the part.
And I wouldn't say fail. Let me back. We do catch some people before they fall that low, but
that would be a weakness. That would be a spot where there could be room for improvement.
There's definitely room for improvement. And I think something that really helped me, I will just say, and helps me to this day, is to have that through line, that consistency with my psychiatrist. I don't know, for your son, but I see so often people get re-diagnosed, medications get changed, all kinds of craziness happens when they go from provider to provider. And with these illnesses, it's really important to have consistency. It's really important to have trust. It's really important to have someone who knows you, who knows your history, who knows your family history. Right. In order for them to really effectively treat you.
Well, I have to be honest, and I'm sure I'm speaking for a lot of people who are going to watch this show. It's just flat out not affordable. It's not affordable. I mean, even myself, I'm in therapy, and I hope I can recover some from insurance, but I'm way north of I'm north of $250 every session, and so that's out of pocket. And so basically, you're sacrificing essentials, and it's worth it to me because I know the importance of mental wellness. But most people just don't have it. Like I have to choose sometimes between how we're going to manage versus honestly doing the bare minimum. And I say all the time right now, life,
and
unfortunately,
even though our son actually gets SSI, to what Marla's saying, even though our son gets SSI, it doesn't actually cover all the expenses that he has for his mental health care. So
of course.
So when when we come back, what I want to come back and ask LaTina is, I want to just get a bigger picture of how you see this ball of mental wellness really being able, how we can mosaically patch this together to actually make a whole picture. So that's what I would like to ask and get the answer to that. We'll be right back. Keep giggling, Skylar. We'll be right back. Oh, no. I'm not. No. Oh, no.
Look,
I don't want to dance.
Look what's happening.
No. No.
We're dancing, everybody. So that means it's time for the poll question. That's our version of the pole dance. Anyway, last week we asked the question, with the rise in U.S. adults with anxiety and depressive disorders, it now rivals the prevalence of what other chronic health issue? Your options were obesity, heart disease, and cancer.
We will give you a chance to answer that as well and see if your answer matches last week's guess. Or the right one. Go ahead.
Me? The question again?
The question again is just a poll question. Okay. With the rise of U.S. adults with anxiety and depressive disorder, It now rivals the prevalence of what other chronic health issue? Obesity, heart disease, or cancer?
I want to say obesity.
I want to say ding, 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 ding. You're right.
Ding, 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 ding. You are
I wish
correct.
that there was.
I don't think our guest last week got it correct. Did they?
Yes,
Marla?
they did.
Okay. So we're 2 for 2. That's awesome. All right, Marla,
All right.
what's the question for next week?
Next week, the question, are you ready for this, LaTina?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready.
What percentage of Americans will meet the criteria for a diagnosable mental health condition at some point in their lifetime? 27%, 46%, or 62%?
Am I answering?
You
this?
are. You
Yes,
are our.
please.
You.
I
This
would
is
say
this is
62%.
this is mental health Jeopardy.
I would say 62%.
And you have said, and now your answer will be revealed next week.
Okay. All right.
you will tune back in here. Please bring Skylar with you, and we'll find out, Skylar, if your mother is a 2-time champion of the Mental Health Monday poll question.
Ding, ding.
We thank you for playing along. Remember, you guys, 818-698-1021. That's the number to
Ding,
text
ding.
to support our Dollars Today Keeps the Stigma Away campaign. We'll be right back.
Okay.
And just like that, we're back.
I cannot let you get out of this room because I have all kind of theories as to why mental health is so hard to tackle, and it will never be. It's the most necessary, but it is the most neglected, in my opinion, and I need to get a grip on just your thoughts because I'm not expecting you to fix the wheel. So what? No, yeah. Well, because I mean, I look at the fact, and I'll just put this out here. If I said that my child had diabetes, there's the sympathy, the outreach, all of it. Cancer, same thing.
Right.
But the minute you say mental health, there's shame, there's blame,
Right.
there's fault,
Right.
there's girl, what's wrong with you?
Well,
you know?
let's keep it even simpler than that. The healthcare would be provided.
That's
No
what I'm saying.
questions
Every
asked.
resource
Full healthcare.
available.
Yes.
Yeah.
So why do you think it's so hard for us to tackle this in a practical way?
Well, I think you spoke to it right. It's the stigma that surrounds mental illness. And, I'm sure you've heard like mental illness is the no casserole illness, right?
I haven't heard that.
Oh, yeah. So mental illness is the no casserole illness. If you had cancer, if you had some kind of other, chronic illness, people will come to your door. They bring you a casserole.
Oh, the no casserole. Oh, that's
right?
a good one.
Bring you a casserole. If you have bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, even
They lock
depression,
their
anxiety,
doors.
Yeah.
Nobody's bringing
It's
you,
too much.
and nobody think about bringing you a casserole.
Nobody's coming.
Nobody's coming. So, and the stigma is profound. Like even, you just said, if you had cancer. I was in CVS the other day, and I looked up in the cards. I was going to get my daughter a graduation card. So, saying high five to Avery, who's graduating. Avery Schuyler, who is
Avery,
graduating.
yeah.
Yes. So I was looking for a graduation card for her, and I looked up, and there's Hallmark has a whole series of cancer cards. Like if you have cancer, you have a loved one who has cancer, they have a
whole separate sympathy section.
Yeah, so to speak with your loved one who's suffering with this. But if you have mental illness, nobody knows the language, and so people just run away. And so imagine a world where we responded to a diagnosis of bipolar disorder as promptly as we do a diagnosis of cancer. And so instead of for my eldest sister who still suffers with untreated bipolar disorder today, and the longer you go without treatment,
Absolutely.
the worse it gets.
Yep.
And then
We
it
know
becomes
that.
intractable, right? And so imagine a world where she would have gotten treatment the minute somebody
Immediately.
said,
This is what you're
this is
what
what
you're
dealing
going through.
with, right? This is what you're dealing with, and she would have been able to access that treatment. And the only reason I did it is because I was a psychology major, and then I was in social work school, right, for clinical social work. So
it was sort of in your face.
yeah, it was in my couldn't hide
Right.
from it. So, and if we intervened sooner, we wouldn't have the
Exactly.
prevalence in the same way that we do today. So it is about prevention. It is about treatment right now for those who suffer.
Yeah.
But it's also about prevention and catching people upstream.
And also the transparent personal conversations. My new statement out in the public is see something, say something, do something, and I don't mean on social media.
Right.
I'm public because that's what God, the platform that I was given. But I just think to myself, had I been able to have some conversations with my family that were not dismissed to give me an understanding of the possibilities, that I could just be aware, and that I wish that there was a way that we could normalize mental health treatment. Like, in other words, therapy should just be a standard thing, not that because something's wrong with me.
Right. You should actually have
the same way you go to the doctor
with the mental health professionals, just like you have mental checkups with
Absolutely.
the doctor.
Right. Exactly.
And my new saying is, it's okay to not be okay, and that's the one thing that we really have to get used to. I think in our society, unfortunately, this conversation has been an amazing conversation.
It's never long enough. This is a joke. We
definitely have to have you come back.
Yeah, LaTina. Matter of fact, I'm going to take my microphone, and I'm sorry, I'm going to follow you home, and Tony will be in the car with the camera. I'm going to hop out and continue a part 2. We really need to. We need a series to continue this. I'm serious, because there's so much that I know that we could discuss that would be helpful.
Yes.
That we haven't even touched.
Yes.
And so, because I want to the next conversation we have, I would love to have that conversation focused on what you see in the system and what is effective so far.
Oh,
I want the fix. I mean, I don't want to just, we all can talk about the problems. We could just turn our TV on and we got it.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is, you're working on mending, and you're working on programs, and you're working on community. I need to know, what have you found right now to get through? What's effective? Because it's so complicated.
Yeah, I would love to have that conversation.
We're going to.
Would love to have that
conversation. I mean it. And so we don't need Dave. We're making a date.
Our guest has been LaTina Jackson. LaTina, thank you so much.
Amazing.
I want to remind you guys to tune in next week, because our guest will be our very own Tony Sweet. Our sweetie pie will be our guest next week. And he has a story of his own.
What, Tony?
See you guys next week.
Bye. Thanks for coming.